Back in our old spot.
Yes. Yes, yes.
With our comfy couch.
Yep, yep. And we have reviewed the book called Motohuma, The Firehead, by Jennifer Munro, who has commented on our Facebook, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to jump on our Facebook, I'm sure she would be more than happy to answer questions about the book.
It's an ebook available on Amazon.com. So
or any other ebook seller. Most of them have them. You don't have to go to Amazon.
Yes. Not that we're advertising.
Free advertising there for Amazon.
Yes. So, Jodie, would you like to explain?
Well, this is a story. I think it's a coming of age story, personally. It's a story about a girl who lives in South Africa back in, I think it was 1980 something.
Yes.
83, I think.
Don't quote me on that.
Don't quote me on that. And it's about a girl called, well, her nickname is Poppet, which is the name her father gave her. And she is struggling to cope with the life of, well, it's a very secluded life that she's living on a farm in South Africa. And she's only known war and to be afraid of people, and that black people in South Africa were slaves. And that is the generation that she was brought up in.
Yep.
And as she grows up, she starts to wonder about the real world and what's going on out there, and starts to get interested in all the ways of the world. And her nanny and the other people in her little farm try and teach her sort of the way of the world to some extent. And she then figures out that maybe all is not right at the farm. Her and her brother Will, who they do have a very good connection in the book. He looks after her somewhat, although he does end up abandoning her to sort of fulfill his own sort of needs, which I'm not too happy about, but that's the way it's written. And then she finds out that what she has experienced in life may not actually be all that truthful. That her mother was actually English, and her father may not be her father. So she decides to abandon the life that she has known and goes off to England, where her mother is originally from and where she has grandparents living there that she never knew. And trying to go from the depths of South Africa in the desert to
completely different place.
Yes, to the hustle and bustle of England.
Big culture shock.
As she gets a bit, she definitely learns a few things in there. There's definitely a few life lessons to be learned in England. In which she falls in love with a lovely man. And she has to come back and sort of face her fears when her father passes away. So it's a very enlightening book. It is actually, don't get put off by the fact that at the start of this book it is very descriptive writing. Once you get through those first chapters, you do actually get into the book and start realising everything this poor girl has gone through and thinks is completely normal. Turns out that she didn't realise most children didn't have that sort of lifestyle where they run around shooting snakes and having 12 dogs and and all those sorts of things. So it is an extremely good read. If the one thing I have to say about it is that it is extremely descriptive. And I maybe did not need to know that much about the South African landscape. But if you go into Jennifer?
Jennifer Munro.
Jennifer's biography, you actually do realise why she writes so much about South Africa. She actually lived there for a large amount of her life, so she's obviously very attached to it, and you can definitely tell this through the writing. If anyone has read Bryce Courtney's The Power of One, I suggest you go in and read this book, because it is a very, not a similar storyline, but it is very similar in the way it portrays South Africa and how children are treated and sort of the very much fend for yourself kind of lifestyle. So
yeah, I quite enjoyed it as well. The first few pages, it was like, wow, I feel like I can feel this thing and feel that thing, and it was like the whole being brought into that world. So I'm giving it 4 out of 5 flowers.
Yeah, Jennifer really does a good job in. If you've never seen anything about South Africa or anything like that, she does a good job at bringing it to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you knew nothing about South Africa's history, I suggest you go back and maybe do a bit of research on the internet, otherwise you might not know what she's talking about half the time. So yeah, I'll give it probably 3 stars. I thought it was pretty good, but
pretty lovely. Excellent. Well, so we both read that one, so that
sorry guys, you're not going to get your usual 3 today. That was it.
Yes.
We got asked by Jennifer whether we would review it, and
we're reviewing it.
More than happy to do it because
it's our
we want to encourage it.
Read and review request, so we're excited.
And like I said, she is on our Facebook, so if you want to ask her any more questions about maybe if you've read the book and you think, oh, I don't understand something, or why did she put this particular part in the book? I'm sure she's more than happy to, and again, I'm speaking on her behalf, but I'm sure she's more than happy to maybe get in there and explain a few things to you. She's probably very happy to help other people understand where she's coming from with the book. So
absolutely.
Jump on our Facebook and...
Excellent. Yes. So the second one I am reviewing is also an ebook. Well, it's also in hard copies as well. So you can buy it from Bookshop. I chose to download it because I have an iPod and I just read it from there. It's called The World Without Us by Weisman. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I am. It is an eye-opening book about how the world would be if humans just disappeared like that. It goes through, the first few hours, the first few days, what would happen if, a big city like New York, suddenly had nobody there, operating machinery and like the entire underground stations and all that would be flooded.
Excuse me.
And so it continues to go through and describe how the Earth would be and how it would right itself and how humans would, even though we've built things like the pyramids and stuff, a couple thousand years or whatever, there'd be barely anything left of us to, say that we're even here. So it sort of brings in a bit of perspective of how humans are,
dispensable.
Yeah, it's a bit like the dinosaurs. They were gone in the blink of an eye. And we could be too. So, it does bring in some perspective, and I really enjoyed reading it because I'm a bit of a fan when it comes to end of the world kind of books and movies and stuff like that.
Not that you're macabre like that at all.
Not at all. Not that I'm looking forward to 2012 at all.
No.
So I give that 4 out of 5 as well. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, I've got a lovely little action book for all you action lovers out there. It's called Term Limits by Vince Flynn. Now, this isn't actually part of a series, but it does actually do a very good series with Mitch Rapp, who is a CIA agent. Let me try and get that out again. CIA agent. However, this isn't part of those series, but I am suggesting you go read those series too. This is actually a book about if politicians were actually made to deal with the promises they make. So, we all know that they tend not to.
Yeah.
This is actually based in the United States, so it's actually based on United States politics. You don't need to know a heck of a lot about politics to get into this book. This one here is about a congressman who thinks that certain promises that were made during budget reforms should be upheld. And, well, he doesn't. His father actually hires a hitman to start taking out people that don't agree with the policy and that have deliberately turned their backs on that level of government to go off and do their own little thing what suits them. And this congressman finds out, and then suddenly people die that weren't supposed to be dying, and other people have decided to take this into their own hands. So yes, this is actually a very interesting book. Lots of killing and guns and blood and a lot of things that I love. It's also very clever actually, because you're not quite sure who's doing what a lot of the time. And it is a little, I don't know about everyone else, but I find it a little bit frustrating when these niggling little women that are in the book, the wives, get into it and start to try and suss everything out. That annoys me, but at the same time you need those sorts of characters to sort of get the information that we're obviously not getting from the male characters. So, bit of a
good crime, CIA.
Interesting one. Wow. So yes, it's an interesting concept.
Yep.
Because we all know that politicians sort of cross their fingers.
Through their teeth.
Cross their fingers when they're saying their promises. Yeah. So yes, highly recommend this one. This one I'll give about 4 out of 5.
Nice.
So there you go.
Excellent. Well, the last one I'm reviewing is actually a personal development book. It's called Meditations to Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Now, Louise Hay, if you're into personal development or anything about, you know, spirituality or whatever, she is right up there with the top of the top, like, you know, Deepak Chopra and you know, just, she's amazing. I really want to go to, like, Sydney or Melbourne and see her. She's just great. So, this book was given to me by my auntie, my precious auntie, who also had one of these books, and it's basically positive affirmations, full of positive affirmations, from anything through, from like love to energy to work to anything that's going on that you could possibly think of in your life, and how to stay positive about it. And the more you repeat them every day, the more you believe it, and you retrain your mind to think positively rather than in a negative sense. So I love it. I really do. It's a bit like Miranda Kerr, her book,
Embrace.
Treasure.
That's the one. Treasure Yourself.
Yeah, Treasure Yourself. That's the one. It was on the tip of my tongue. Because she has positive affirmations at the back as well. So, yeah, I give this 5 out of 5 because I think it's fantastic.
We knew there'd be a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I love my 5s.
Alright, I've got I wouldn't say this one's a tearjerker, this one's an interesting one. It's by Jane Asher, and it's called The Question. And this is actually about a woman named Eleanor, who is married to her husband John, or at least she thinks she is. She actually discovers that her husband got someone else knocked up, and he has a separate family living in a flat somewhere in a different country town.
I've always wondered how those people can afford to do that.
Oh, he's very rich. Very rich man. I personally wouldn't try it, but you never know. So they unintentionally find out about each other. And the question which she poses is, can she get along with the other woman? Right. And can they live together in a sort of harmonious way by sharing the one guy? And it actually has a very good ending.
Yeah.
I loved this ending because it is the ultimate woman sort of women's power moment where you're just like, oh, it's beautiful, I love it, it's amazing, good ending. Highly recommend the ending. It's just basically about how much can you possibly cope with in life, and how you sometimes change your life to suit others. So there you go. The Question by Jane Asher. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. It's
nice. Excellent. Well, that wraps up episode 4.
That's us done.
I can't believe it's been 4. And as always, read and review and
jump on our Facebook.
Have a look and recommend some books to us.
And if you're an author,
we will read
feel free.
We will read them.
We did. Yes, we did.
Yes.
We read the book that we were supposed to read.
Yeah, absolutely. And we highly recommend it. So, yeah. Take it easy, everybody.